The brand Series Player only came out with 2 new models, one being the Series Player Plus and the second being the Game1. But the question is, are these good and are they better than their first 2 models being the Player 1 and the Player 1 2023? What is up and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing if you're into basketball shoe reviews. So many of you are probably already familiar with the brand Series Player only, and that started off with their first signature model, the Player 1, which has a lot of inspiration from the Kobe line. And over the years, they have slowly and iteratively improved the design to bring us the Player 1 2023, which is kind of the second model in that line. And now, the latest model is the Player 1 Plus. And like I said, slow improvements on the fit, the traction, the materials used. And I do like their first 2 models, the Player 1 and the Player 1 2023, but there are definitely some areas of improvement, mainly in the fit department, but I'll get into that a little bit. And they're also known for their drop-in midsole technology, which can all be used on all of their models, which is awesome. So we have this one right here, which is one of the first ones that came out, which is the strength midsole and has 3 densities of cushioning. The second one we have, which you can buy on their website separately, is the support midsole, which also has the tri-density setup, as well as a little bit more bouncier main cushion. And we have plastic here for more support. And this is the one that I've recently tried. This comes with the Player 1 Plus, but this is their quick midsole. So this is all the same type of foam, the Evan-Lawn. And this is more for, better court feel and a little bit less impact protection, but you feel a lot quicker in these. So starting with the Player 1 Plus, some of the main differences between this and the previous model are the traction patterns. So this is tire traction, and it's inspired by tires. Honestly, I have played a few matches of volleyball in these, as well as lifted in them for a little bit, and this is like the best traction of any shoe that I've worn in 2023, even compared to like the WoW 10s and the LeBron 20s. This is like crazy grippy, almost maybe a little too grippy, but I don't even think it's the traction pattern, to be honest. I think it's the rubber compound. Like, this is such a squeaky and grippy rubber compound, so if you like really good traction, this is definitely the shoe for that. And then some other changes that they have are this lace line goes a little bit lower, and that's supposed to be able to be a little bit more custom. So if you want like a tighter fit closer to your toes, then you can lock these down a little bit tighter, or if you want a looser fit, then you have the ability to do that. So comparing these 2 models, you'll see this goes a little bit lower. Personally, I don't really care for that too much. I don't see that big of a difference, but to each is their own. Another one of the main differences that I noticed in playstyle and aesthetics is this is kind of a little bit more curved design language. So even like the outsole wrapping to the top, the heel to toe transition is definitely smoother in my opinion. This outrigger right here isn't as pointy. I don't know how to describe that, but here on the 2023, it's a little bit more pronounced here and a little bit more of an edge, where on the Player 1 Plus, it's not as sharp here. But it still serves this purpose of providing a little bit more lateral stability and traction, especially when you're pushing off that way. And then the upper is a little bit more supportive, so I think there might be another layer of fuse, but it's not uncomfortable, so there's no pinching or anything like that. But there is some more support in that regard. The carbon fiber is still present, although it's not exposed on the outsole as it was on the Player 1 2023 and even the original Player 1. So you don't see the carbon fiber plate from the outsole, but you can see it from the medial side of the shoe right here. It's the silver part right here. And for even more stability and support, there is an extra plastic piece that the Player 1 Plus has that runs from the front of the forefoot all the way to the back of the midfoot here. So you definitely feel that when you're wearing the shoe, and altogether, it just feels like a more complete, refined version of the Player 1, which of course is what they're going for. And so far, I've enjoyed it a lot. From a first impression standpoint, I think this will be my favorite version of the 3 shoes. So we'll do some more testing. I've tried all 3 midsoles in this shoe. So one thing that I don't think has improved over time is the fit regarding the support midsole. I said this before in previous videos, but in the support midsole, you're missing the front part of the midsole that wraps up in front of your toes, whereas the strength midsole, you can kind of see this lip on the front here. As well, in the quick midsole, there is this lip at the front of the midsole. So the support does not really have that. So I personally go a half size up. So true to size, I'm a 9.5 in most of my shoes. But in this line, I prefer a 10. And that goes for both of these midsoles. So if you wear the quick or prefer the quick, which I think is good for like liberos, or the strength midsole, which is kind of like an all-round midsole, then I would go a half size up. But when I do wear the support midsole, which is my favorite midsole of the 3 so far, the fit does get altered. So it does feel a little bit big when you put this midsole in a 10. So it feels like a 10 when I wear this midsole, but if I wear these 2 midsoles, the quick or the strength, then it feels like a 9.5, if that makes sense. And it's pretty much just that extra material you'll see at the front of this midsole and this midsole. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. So if you don't plan to get the support midsole, then I would go a half size up. But if you do plan to get the support midsole, and this is what you mainly plan to play in, then I would say go true to size. But to be on the safe side, half size up is a little bit safer, and you can still wear all 3. And they have a 4th midsole, which is the explosive midsole. I haven't got to try that yet, but I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on a pair and trying them, especially in the Player1 Plus and the Game 1. So this is the second model that they came out with. This retails for $138. You only get 1 midsole with this shoe, and it is the quick midsole, which is this pink one right here. So just a single density foam all throughout. So like I said, that's more of a court feel cushion setup. So if that's what you're looking for, then this could fit that bill. Of course, you can always get the support or the explosive midsole sold separately. So for the Game 1, my first impressions, I've lifted in these, and I've also played some light 21 at the gym. For the materials in the upper, this is definitely a beefier, more supportive setup than the Player1 line provides. So the heel counter and the heel cup here is a lot bigger and a lot more stiff. There's a bigger lateral guard here, which is also a lot more stiff. The upper itself has a lot of fuse backing all throughout the medial and the lateral sides. There's a little bit more cushion, it feels, and padding around the heel and Achilles. And the traction, this is like some sort of herringbone, and this is solid rubber. I haven't played in outdoors yet with these, but I do plan to later this week when I play one-on-one against my brother. But this is probably going to be an outdoor shoe for me, kind of more on the budget side. And there is actually a carbon fiber shank plate in the middle. So not a lot of shoes in the 130, 140 price point have a carbon fiber shank plate. So props to them for being able to include that in this shoe. I've only played in the quick midsole for this shoe so far, but based on how similar these are in fit, I'm pretty sure this will feel very similar. And based on how this felt in this shoe, I'm pretty sure this will fit similarly, where this would feel a little bit bigger. So I did go with the size 10 in the Game 1s as well, but I'm very surprised. Looking online, I was like, ooh, those look a little clunky. I'm kind of hesitant on like, I don't know if I like the shoe, but when I played indoor at 24 on hardwood, these actually felt really good. Like the heel to toe transition was very smooth. Traction is really good as well. Not as good as the Player1 Plus, but very solid, especially compared to these two. Like these two had really good traction as well. So I really think it's the rubber compound that they use on their shoe that makes it work really well. And then we have a very padded tongue here. So I think, and I plan to use this as an outdoor shoe, and I think it'll hold up pretty well based on, how much fuse and plastic is in the upper, as well as how beefy and how thick the traction tread looks on this shoe. So I think that's the main purpose of the shoe, is to be able to take it outdoor and not worry about it. And I probably wouldn't take these outdoor, especially the first 2 iterations of the Player1, because of how thin the traction pattern is on these grooves. But that is kind of improved on this tire traction pattern on the Player1 Plus. So as far as first impressions, these both play pretty well. I'm not surprised. I'm very excited for their 4th midsole, which is an explosive midsole, which is supposed to be the bounciest midsole on the market. And how that plays in the Game 1, the Player1 Plus, and even the previous models. And they're even coming out with a mid version of the Game 1, which I've seen a lot of teasers on. So I'm excited to test both of these shoes out. I'm trying to see if I can finish it before the end of the year, but we'll see. I'm still working on the Sabrina 1, so stay tuned for that. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Wait, before I leave, so if you've been eyeing any shoes from Serious Player only, now's actually probably the best time to buy them because they're offering 15% off any orders of $200 or more. So these retail for $180, these retail for $138. But if you end up picking up the explosive midsole or the support midsole or any of the apparel that they're dropping, then that will take you over $200 essentially. So definitely check out their website if you've been looking to buy a pair yourself. But I think that's gonna do it for this first impressions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.